All of them?
You let your chest hair free.
Chest hair free?
That's what he said.
Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back. Today we are going to be making a video on a tutorial, how-to, whatever you want to call it, on the PBM Rack relocation kit. And when I bought this kit, I was hoping there was some sort of instructions or anything on how to do this, but there is none. But today I will be explaining how I do this. Is it the right way? I don't know, because anyway, let's get this started. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and clean this rack up. It's dirty and this whole top section is gonna have to go. So we want to clean it up so we can see the previous spot welds from factory on this thing. And we're gonna have to either drill them out or grind them out. So what I'm gonna do is, I've already taken this to the local car wash and doused it in degreaser and tried to clean it up as best I could there. Obviously I couldn't get it all because it's still dirty. This thing is freaking caked. So I'm just gonna take a little brake cleaner and I'm gonna wipe the edges and the flanges. So this is cleaned up. So now what we're gonna do here is, I went ahead and took this and I set this up and I measured it to kind of sit in the middle of these two towers. This whole top piece, along with these mounts, is all gonna get cut out of here, and this is gonna be replacing it. Once this is on there, we'll have these brackets that kind of weld, something like that. And these ones go somewhere, I don't know yet. We'll figure that out. But we have to get this off before we can do anything else. We're gonna go ahead and either drill these spot welds out or grind them out. So I like to grind them out, preferably. When you drill it out, you kind of, if you're not super careful or you just don't care, you'll drill all the way through the backside, which we're gonna be keeping, and you'll kind of have holes everywhere down there, and I don't like that look. I like to make it clean as I can, so I'm gonna go ahead and grind these out. So I just finished grinding out these welds. I got both sides grinded out. I did notice that, flip this over, there was two welds on each side hiding underneath here that I ground from the back side that's underneath this plate. If I wanted to really go extra, I could have cut this plate off and then got the welds from here, but that's too much work, so screw that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish cutting out the sides, so this piece will lift off of here, and you can either cut these out first or you can cut them out after you do your spot welds. It doesn't really matter as long as you got them marked beforehand. That way you know which weld you need to grind out. You know, you don't want to grind out over here if you're only cutting it there, you know. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting out the sides, and we'll go ahead and lift this top piece off, and we'll begin with our next step. Now that I got the sides all cut out and the spot welds all cut out, I'm gonna go ahead and start separating this with a flathead and a hammer. Traditionally I'd use a seam buster, but I forgot it. And there we go. Top piece off, middle lift. Before I go any farther than this step, I'm gonna clean this out. Jesus. Alright, so we got the subframe all cleaned up, and I went ahead and ground down all my welds and the spots where we're gonna have to be welding. So the next step is we got these little tiny metal pieces here. And what these do is this sits on this side, and they're kind of like that. And you'll go ahead and weld this, and then you know, weld it all the way around. And then this right here is you'll have to notch this out because your power steering rack will sit too closely to it, and that's why that little notch is there. And then same thing on this side. Go ahead and notch this out, you know, weld this in, notch this corner out, and you shouldn't have any clearance issues. So the next thing you're going to want to put in after you get those welded is this piece, and it sits about right here. There's a little notch on the back side of this, and this notch will kind of faintly sit in here. It just sits kind of something like that. And I've been kind of using these holes as a measurement. From the little bit of pictures that they actually do have of this, their holes are just about covered up, kind of like that. What I'll do before I weld this piece is I'll go ahead and measure from this end to this end, make sure it's even here, make sure it's even here, and so on. Just make sure it's nice and straight. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tack these pieces in here. I don't want to weld on the bottom quite yet. Alright, I got the plate mounted up here, kind of how we want to weld this thing. So now, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to go ahead and throw some tacks around here so it doesn't move anymore. And then I'll go ahead and blast this sucker on here. Alright, I went ahead and got this side welded up. I left the bottom unwelded for now. I want to test fit this main piece and make sure that, you know, if I lay a bead there, that it's not going to be fucking this up before I go ahead and weld it. So I'm going to just leave that for now. I'm going to get this other side in, and then we'll test fit this piece. Alright, same thing on this side. I'm going to go ahead and tack it, and then Alright, so we got these pieces welded on here. So now let's go ahead and test fit this piece. It should fit in here nice and snug. Alright, so that's not sitting too bad here. You know, our gap here is nice and tight. Our gap there is nice and tight. And that's why I didn't want to put that bead down there. You can kind of see on the bottom side. It's looking good. It's fitting good. Now I just got to measure from here to here. It's probably not going to be exact from side to side, so I want it to be at least close. and then here to here, here to here, and then here to here. And I'll probably do one from the, maybe from here to there, and then here to there, just to make sure this is straight. The backside's sitting nice and flat with this raised lip is what we want, and then the front is also sitting nice and flush. I think this is probably where we're gonna want it. And then this piece also sits in here pretty nice. And then this one, where'd our other one go? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Rachel, where are you? Where are you, Rachel? What the fuck did I do with it? Oh, there it is, right there. I also think these are pretty nice. They sit in there nice and straight, and the bottom's not too bad, besides for like where the weld's throwing it off a little bit, but it should be okay. And then they even left a little spot for us to weld down here. So before we put these on, we're gonna go ahead and weld this bottom corner, and probably just that bottom corner like that. And then we'll go ahead and weld this all the way across. So now that we got this all measured and looking good and we know it's straight, we're gonna go ahead and weld from that corner to that corner there. Kind of tack these into the sides. Probably throw a couple tacks here in the middle, and then tack this side so this piece won't move. And then we'll go ahead and put our other braces on, weld these on. Yes, sir. Alright, went in and got that corners tacked in, tacked on the top, or welded on the top, tacked in the front. So now this thing is not gonna move. So now let's put our brackets in here. We'll go ahead and weld these up. Do this on both sides. Alright, got this plate in and sitting how I like it. I'm gonna go ahead and tack the bottom. Okay, make sure it's straight. Make sure it's a little crooked. Tack it. Needs to go over just a bit more, and I totally am realizing now that I forgot to strip this. Rookie mistake, let me tell you what. So now I gotta go ahead and strip this real. Alright, so I got that stripped. Weld it. Now I'm gonna just go ahead and freaking weld this thing all the way through. Alright, now that this side is all welded all the way around, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to weld this side. We got this side all welded up, and now let's go ahead and weld this one up the same way as we welded this one. But let's be smart, and before we put our template on there, let's go ahead and clean all this paint off so we have a nice weld. Okay, let's get our piece right here on the floor. Still haven't cleaned this up like I said we were gonna. Well, that's pretty good there. Well, that's pretty good there. Right there. Right there. I like that. All right, let's tack this sucker. Don't move. If I was a good fabricator, I would probably have like a magnet holding this in place, but Alright, now we have both sides welded up. The last thing we have to do is go ahead and weld all the way across that seam, and same thing on the back side. Alright, so I got this all completely welded, and I figured what I need to do now is go ahead and kind of put these in the farthest position forward as I possibly can, just to see, you know, what my limitations are. And as you recall, this one had this big slot out. We're gonna have to cut all this out here. And the same thing on this side, it's got this little slot, it's gonna need cut out. So when you put your rack up in here, it hits in those spots. And this side, it's got the big steering rack, and for it to go all the way in like it's supposed to, I mean, it's got a long ways to go. So we're gonna have to cut a big chunk of that out. I brought the subframe up to my work today because we have a plasma cutter here, and I figured cutting this out would be a lot easier with a plasma cutter. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this video here, probably at work. I'm gonna sand it down and get it painted and everything here too. So further ado, let's get these sections cut out so the rack will sit in there, and I might even try cleaning this up a little bit and bracing it, but we'll see how it goes. So now that I got these all cut out to where I think I need to cut, I'm gonna go ahead and throw the rack in and make sure that I have enough clearance, or if I need to take some out, and then I'll go back and start cleaning some of this up, and I'll probably weld a couple of these areas together, make it just a little bit stronger. Alright, so we got our pieces bolted up here, and we're gonna go ahead and test this rack in here to see what we need to cut out. And as you can see, it's not sitting flush here because we are actually hitting this down here, so we're gonna have to chop some more of this out. And same thing on this side, we're gonna have to chop a little bit of that out so this will fit. What? Alright, we got the rack in there, got plenty of space there. Just got it bolted in now. I'm gonna go ahead and sandblast this subframe now, and then I'm gonna go ahead and spray some paint, and then we'll put it in the car. For you guys doing this at home, I would advise you to go ahead and put this in your car before you get this all said and done. Clamp it, and then put your steering linkage on so you know that what angle this sits at. You know, if this could be twisted, but I think it sits about like that. So I'd go ahead and give that a test fit and make sure everything's good before you go ahead and put it in finally. You should be good. So I just got the subframe back from getting sandblasted, and now since it's all ready, we can go ahead and spray some paint on this thing. Being sandblasted, you don't actually have to prep these up any more than that. You can just spray right over the sandblasting, which makes it super nice and convenient. So let's go ahead and put some. And here is the final product on the S13 PBM Rack relocation kit. Got it all painted up nice and looking good. Now the next thing is just put it in the car.